limelight, so to speak, from the time they're nowadays 9th, 10th graders. But I think he's a grounded kid. He keeps it in perspective. He knows a lot of things he's got to continue to work on to get where he wants to go and where we want to go as a football team and as an offense.
Where does Nathan fit in that situation? You redshirted him. Was he needed a little bit more time?
I don't deal with the snappers. You'd have to ask Coach Lilly.
You said this area, Jacksonville, from a recruiting standpoint, I mean, Georgia's traditionally done pretty well. How important is Jacksonville to just Georgia,
Our philosophy is Jacksonville is an extension of South Georgia, and a lot of fans and people look at it that way. Playing the game here every year against Florida definitely helps. So, people in this town, they don't have a college team, so they kind of pick one of those two teams. So you've got a lot of Georgia fans in this town and grow up hearing about Georgia, seeing Georgia play, those young kids. So, it gets them interested. And if you can get a kid interested in your school early, you think you've got a chance. That's why it's always good to hopefully coach in a state that has good talent, because they see that team, they hear about that team, so they grow up liking that team. It's a little bit different in today's time because so many teams are on TV so much. It's not like, that one team's always on TV. Everybody's on TV. But when people are constantly talking about your team like they do in Jacksonville, when you're a young kid and you want to play football and you're hearing about a team, it gets them interested at an early age.
Mike, as you look at next season, obviously you're going to have some numbers at running back. Has there been any thought with JJ to maybe trying that hybrid receiver kind of role moving forward?
No. Right now he's a running back. But JJ is a guy that I classify as a football player. He was that when we signed him because I think he can do a number of things. Whether he can line up in the slot and be a receiver, I can't answer that question right now. Not because I don't want to. I don't know if he could do that. I don't know if he's that kind of hybrid player. I think it's more of a return guy, running back, defensive back. I don't know if he's a slot type of player, but he could be. We didn't think he caught very well coming out of high school, and he's caught about every pass we've thrown him. So guys improve. Diligent guy that works hard and conscientious. So, but you got to have depth there. We don't have enough depth, and hopefully we can get some in this recruiting class to add to that depth. But we didn't have enough this year, and this morning we only had, I think, 4 running backs out of running backs and fullbacks. Everybody was 6, so we really didn't have any depth today in the walkthrough.
Your running backs are sick?
They were today. They weren't there today. That's the plan, according to Ron. You'd have to ask Ron a little more details on what's going on, but he looks good. He's always kind of walked with a little gait that looked like he had a limp. He looks like he's walking better. He says both knees feel good. He's another conscientious kid that works hard, so I expect him, to be full speed when Ron Corson says so. But that's out of our hands. If he's there, he's there. If he's not, he's got to do the necessary things to make sure he's healthy when he comes back and feeling confident. That's the big thing. You don't want to rush it. He doesn't come back and is not confident in his knees.
Assuming y'all do have the depth everybody's been talking about for fall, would y'all ever consider redshirting him to get him 100%?
Yeah, there's no question you consider redshirting. A lot of guys at every position every year, not necessarily if they're a freshman, do what's best interest for the team and what's best interest for that individual. And that, that's obviously could be a case where you might redshirt somebody because they're injured and not full speed. You don't want to waste a year. But you're going to get him. You're never going to make a decision on a kid early in the season or in fall camp for game 1, game 2. We might be game 6, game 7. You need those guys. So you got to always talk it to any individual, whether a freshman, a guy coming off an injury. You got to prepare and get yourself back ready to play as soon as possible, and not count on. You just can't sit and say, "Hey, I'm going to redshirt this year's not going to count." You got to get ready to play.
And looking back on it, with the fact that y'all redshirted Hudson now was obviously the right call, but at the time, were you nervous the whole time? And Aaron played a lot of snaps through the years.
Yeah, I was nervous last year, but talking to Hudson, and you talk to him, and he'll say the same thing. He prayed about it, and he felt it's what he needed to do is be ready to go if something happened, and that's what we needed him to do for the team last year. And to his credit, and I've been there, I've been redshirt. It's hard to go in there and prepare and get ready week in and week out when I was in the same situation my freshman year and said, "Hey, you're a backup, but if something happens, you're going to play." And then over time, after week 4, week 5, you're like, probably not going to, it's not going to happen. But that kid all the way up until after the SEC championship game was in there every week preparing. And every week I'd say, hey, we're going to, if something happens, you ready to go? He goes, yeah, I'm ready. So that's what kind of kid he is and what kind of leader I think he is that, wasn't thinking about himself. He was thinking about the team, and if that's what he had to do, he was ready to do it, and he was going to be ready.
How much does it help being so stable at the quarterback position? You can look at certain years now and say, all right, this guy's going to be such year.
Well, it's good. It's
It's
3 years ago when we started that meeting. I had Murray, Mason, and I think in the spring there Zach was there, and then you had I don't know if the walk-ons were there. And then Zach left, and then you had Murray, a redshirt freshman, Mason, True, and then you had Parker Welch and Greg Bingham, all really freshmen. And it's a scary situation. That's why you got to give Coach McClendon a lot of credit year in, year out. He gets freshmen ready to play. Running back's a little bit different position, but you want to have depth at every position. You want to have stability there, and that's good for the program. It's good for not just because you got somebody next to the line, but you got competition year in and year out at practice, day in and day out. You can talk to Aaron Murray two springs ago. Hudson Mason was really outperforming him, and it was like a wake-up call. And he even worked even harder and came out and had a great camp because he talked about, hey, this guy's, he's closing and he's making more plays. So you got to pick it up. You don't want every guy to feel like, hey, I'm safe, it's my job, and the guy behind him thinking that, oh, it's my job in 2 years. No, it's your job to compete every day, and that's what I talk about constantly. You got to compete every day to try to move up that depth chart and take somebody's position. And the guy on top, you got to fight like mad to be the guy.
What were y'all able to get done this morning? Say walk.
Sometimes that's a good thing when you can go and walk through and slow down and teach a little bit. When you trying on the field, you're trying to go fast and run plays, and sometimes the technique or the little step or the little nuance of how they're trying to play a coverage might get overlooked, and you might have to do it on film and correct it in film. In a walkthrough setting, sometimes you can go a little slower and talk through some things. So it was good. Got more plays in because you weren't running as far or doing some things, and really got to work, kind of every situation like we do on a Friday walkthrough. So it was good.
Here at the hotel.
We did it here in one of these rooms. I don't know which one.
Mike, I want to make you repeat yourself. What did you guys do today?
We had about an hour, 15-minute segment meeting while the defense walked through. In the middle, they did a special teams walkthrough, and then we had an hour and 15-minute walkthrough while the defense met. So, around 2 hours and a half of football time and about 20-25 minutes of special teams time.
Just in the hotel, ballroom.
One of these ballrooms they cleared out.
Mike, does Nebraska have enough players back on defense where last year's film is a help to you?
No question. They do schematically about the same thing. I mean, who keeps calling you, girlfriend? Well, what's we got going on here, Dean? Yolanda? They're pretty sound at what they do. They're pretty sound at what they do defensively. They're going to line up and play the way that they've always played and been pretty successful. So we've used some of that tape for teaching purposes, and then use tape from this year because of different players playing that position. But scheme is pretty much the same. So yes, we have used that tape.
When the scheme isn't any great mystery, it depends on execution?
All those things really. But it really boils down to execution because you got to give these guys. I give them a lot of credit. They're very sound defensively. They make you earn really everything. They do a great job of fitting their gaps in the run game, involving safeties. In the pass game, they do a lot of match coverage where they're matching routes and matching patterns. Don't play a lot of off. They're going to play a lot of man coverage in their match principles where there's no really easy throws. We were pretty good last year on third down, made some plays, and we had some big plays. Other than that, they did a nice job against us. And we didn't even get in the red zone last year. We had, X number of big plays. But it's a very talented defense that has got us concerned, and we're going to have to play one of our better games to play pretty good on offense.